Hello, Lucia.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm all right. You know what? Since we got our new countdown, though, I don't know why. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah, I know you don't know if it's gonna actually come on or not. I know. Same here. Anyway, we've got loads to talk about today, haven't we, Kim?
Yeah, we are.
First of all, welcome to our show. Hi to everyone on Wake Up UK. Hi to everyone on Facebook, and hi to everyone on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for all joining us today. We've got a great show. We've got a great hour. And we're going to talk about what we've been up to this last week, because it's been a really, really busy week. So we started off with a bang on Tuesday. We had our demonstration down at Cardiff Castle. So huge thanks to everybody that joined us that day, because you made it amazing. It was, we showed Cardiff what we were about, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly did, Lou.
We did.
We didn't really have the numbers, but I think the quality was fantastic.
This is exactly what I was going to say. It was a little bit disappointing, wasn't it, the turnout, because it wasn't as many as we were expecting. However, the people that were there, we were brilliant, really good. We were doing our chants going down that St. Mary Street, and, everyone around there, they all heard us. And, speakers as well, we had speakers that were coming, they came from all over the UK as well. We had people who came from all over the UK. So, there's so many people out there that realise the importance of this, and they can understand that, we've all got to stand together now. We know we're talking about Wales when we're talking about the RSC. But, it's all over the UK. Scotland have got it really bad. So, we're getting a lot of support from all over the UK. So I can just like to say thank you to everyone that's actually recognised how important this campaign is.
Yeah, and that's it. The thing is, Lou, it is really important, and I don't think people understand the severity of it. Because we haven't had lesson content here, I think people don't seem to have that matter of urgency like they have then in Scotland. But we've got a radical piece of legislation here, a really radical piece of legislation that we have to fight, because there's no going back from this at all, none whatsoever. And this is an opportunity for the UK. And everyone recognises that. So there's been my dog, you know what he's up to. So, and everyone around the UK kind of recognises that as well. So the organisations that are already out there, let me just have my dog off.
Okay. Little dog is quite, yes.
Sorry about that. So yeah, I think everybody understands that this is an opportunity to change things. We are not going to wipe out everything that we have an issue with, but we have to make a dent in it. And I think that's the aim here, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's about chipping away. Like, you know, we've had a lot of parents and people sort of coming forward saying, well, you know, they've got to learn this because they're going to get it off the internet anyway. That's a really bad attitude because, you know, ideal situation, we'd get rid of it all. We'd get rid of, you know, inappropriate pornography. We'd be making a stand against like the big tech, you know, the governments and making sure, but, you know, we can't even go there if it's all in the schools. So that's why we need to make sure, you know, do as much as we can, as you said, bit by bit now, get the schools not to have it embedded in the entire syllabus. Like, what is that all about? You know, in 2022, September 2022.
Let's come away. Let's come away from the RSE a minute now. Like you said, people think they've got to learn it from somewhere. Let's go back to our demo, because our demo had a theme this time, Lucia, and that theme was institutional abuse, and everything we discussed was about our schools, about our education system here in Wales. We discussed things that is not mainstream. We really broke down the issue that they are not places of safeguarding, they are institutions. And the weight of responsibility placed on the teachers to sexually safeguard our children in these institutions is unfair and unjust. And everybody's, they've got this false sense of security because of the DBS and because of the school system and things like that. But people need to understand what goes on in these institutions. And when they truly understand the magnitude of the problems in our schools, then they won't be so quick to say, you know, they've got to learn from somewhere. They've got to learn from somewhere, or somebody's got to teach them. They're going to learn it one day. You know, it's quite, if people understood the problems that we had in all institutions in this country, all across the world, even, I think they would take a slightly different approach. You know, because if there's a known predator somewhere, we wouldn't allow our children to go there. But we're dealing with a system that nobody knows what's going on, not even the staff in the staff room. And the reason for this is because it's a hidden crime. And this crime can be going on for decades before anyone knows. They might never know because it might be taken to the grave. So, you know, you only have to look at a recent report by the Independent Inquiry into Child Sex Abuse. I'm the first to say government reports don't give the whole truth, but they give an element of truth. And in that document, I think it was published September 2020, it says, sex abuse in schools is an open secret. That's a quote, open secret. That is a government report with some truth in it. And 43% of children who are being abused are aware of abuse taking place to other children. So that's quite a different story to what the NSPCC says. The NSPCC 2014 states schools are a place of safeguarding. Well, all the studies, academic research, academic journals, they say something quite different. So we have problems here. And if people understood the magnitude of these problems, if they were informed about these issues, and if teachers understood the problems within their system as well, I'm sure they'd be the first to come forward and say, right, well, we've got to deal with this, because nobody wants to see a child being harmed. And that's the issue with this. We don't physically see the harm until it's too late.
Yeah.
And that's what big thing people are missing, because they don't understand. The biggest mistake anyone can make is to trust. You don't just trust people. You certainly don't trust someone because of their position in society. Their position in society becomes a massive tool in their modus operandi. Do you know what I mean? Their job role becomes part of the way they offend. So, you know, this is a complex issue, guys. This is a really complex issue. I can discuss this for hours, and I can fetch in all different strands, and I can confuse you left, right, and center, because it really is that complex. So how are you expecting teachers to deal with it in schools? It's unfair. It's unfair.
It is unfair because, as you said, it's the weight of responsibility. Teachers have got enough to deal with anyway. I've speak to teachers. I know I'm quite close to some teachers, and they already say, the amount of work that they've got to do, and having a class of 30 children, normally of different abilities as well. They've already got a huge amount, and they've got to make sure as well they get through the curriculum and they reach their targets. They're already under a huge amount of pressure. Now they're expected to teach children about safeguarding and sort of be in charge of teaching children about sex. It doesn't make
And
any
the thing
sense.
is, right, they are led to believe that this will safeguard. Well, when somebody's coming along and showing you how it does not safeguard, you should listen. The only way you can safeguard a child sexually is with in-depth knowledge about perpetrators of abuse. If you don't know anything at all about perpetrators and you're going by your policies, well, your policies are telling you sex abuse is violent. Let me tell you for a start, you know absolutely zero about sex abuse. If that is what you truly believe, and you truly believe that abuse hurts, you know zero about sex abuse. You do not understand what you're teaching. You need to listen. You need to learn. You are the student in this situation. If you wasn't a student in this situation, you wouldn't be in the classroom. You'd be working with offenders. You'd be profiling offenders. You'd be working with survivors. You wouldn't be in that role if you knew about this stuff. Because to know about this stuff, it takes years and commitment, and it's somewhere your brain doesn't want to go. You're not meant to know this kind of stuff, guys. So nobody's expecting you. You shouldn't be expected to safeguard at this level. You should be expected to do what you're trained to do, and that's teach our children in a positive, safe environment, giving it your all. Not all this paperwork. You're in charge of looking at kids' additional needs. You're just not qualified for that either. We're not the enemy. We want to help. We want to assist. We want to make a system better. And we can't do that until we can finally break through to the teachers and the parents. And until they all know and understand the dangers surrounding our children in plain sight, are we going to come? Do you know what I mean? Are we going to turn this corner, Lou? That's what really concerns me.
It is concerning because, we're going to have teachers now that's going to have, I don't know how many hours training on the RSE. They're saying they're putting all this money into training. They may do, a couple of inset days or whatever with training up. They may do a couple of those safeguarding courses that we did, on the high street training. And then they're expected to be teaching children in a way that's not going to be detrimental to the children. They're not going to know that. They won't know that.
They're already teaching children in a detrimental way, Lucia. They're already doing that. They don't understand it. They're teaching our children how to consent.
Yeah, and that's wrong in itself.
Ever teach consent. You teach and empower and know. When you're dealing with sex abuse, it's a multidisciplinary response, right? And that's throughout the criminal justice system. And a huge problem is consent. That's why they extended the Sexual Offences Act 2003 to include everyone under the age of 18, which means children over the age of consent and who have consented. It is problematic. It is massively. I've spoken to parents whose children have gotten in relationships with their partner, and there's nothing the courts will do about it because that teenager was consenting. You never ever teach consent. If you go in to teach consent, you teach the consequence of consequence, because these children are drawn into a situation where they love their abuser. They are consenting to this, but they haven't got the capacity to understand what's going on. Yeah. And it's not until later in life that things, so this is it. Teachers are already teaching what they shouldn't be teaching, and it's not their fault. It is not their fault, because I can tell you now. Yeah, I can tell you something now. As a matter of fact, there is nobody within the field of prosecutions, dealing with disclosures, dealing with victims. There is nobody in that field who would support teaching consent. You do not teach negotiation skills in a situation where there is an imbalance of power, because there's always an imbalance of power going on here, Lou, when you're dealing with child sex abuse. There's the age for a start. Without the teachers, there's an even bigger imbalance of power. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of things at play. You teach them an empowering no, and as they get older and they're at a position where they can be manipulated, as in groomed, exploited into consenting in that way while they're outside of the house, that's when you teach them the consequence of consent. And the consequence of consent is what will happen to your abuser the longer it's going on. So yes, you will love this person. You're not getting them in trouble. You're getting them in trouble by not speaking up. You're not protecting them. By protecting them and covering up what they are doing, you're prolonging what could happen to them. You're prolonging their outcome. They will eventually be caught, or they will eventually be reprimanded. So the sooner you speak up, the better. Because the consequence for your abuser, the person you love, will be worse the longer it goes on. It's quite a different story, isn't it? It's quite a different story.
Is. And, you know, like, as you said, you know, they make out all the time, don't they, in the RSC, on the mainstream, they make out that, you know, these poor children being abused, they're being, it's violent, you know, and we know that a lot of these paedophiles, they are not violent. They're very clever and very good at manipulating. So
well, this is another thing that we brought up, Lucia. When we are speaking of a predator, a perpetrator, or a paedophile, we're looking at something bad, dark, twisted, evil, somebody weird. That's the way we're looking at it. But there's a large proportion of the population that understand paedophile means child love. Love, sensual, consenting. It's a partnership. You know, that's the way a lot of people see it. So this is what people need to understand as well. There will be people out there with this way of thinking, and they believe that we are the problem. We are getting in their way. We are the ones stopping children experiencing something which can be good. And that is an issue. That is the issue people are missing, you know. And we just need to educate people. That's what we need to do moving forward. We need to educate people, because all we want is a safer country. And how could we possibly allow something like this to come into a classroom anyway, now that we know the level of training that's there?
Yeah.
You know, this is a specialist subject. There needs to be teams out there at hand to take responsibility for this, to support the teachers.
Yeah, exactly, Kim. I totally agree. And then obviously then there is this huge issue where predators do get attracted to positions where children are involved. So, you know, we know this. There's been, you know, when we were outside the steps at the Senedd, we pull out that massive sheet full of convictions, lots of teachers in there as well. So we know, you know, that there can be predators within the school environment.
Yes, there can be. There is. Let's see this as fact. This is not opinion. This is fact. So let's speak of it as fact. It is fact. It's well documented. I never read newspapers or magazines. Everything that comes out of my mouth is a peer-reviewed academic study or a freedom of information request or data from a legitimate source. So this is not opinion, and we can't allow people to think that it is opinion. It's not opinion, it's a fact. Whether there are children, there are predators. There are 3 things in a predator's toolbox: access, opportunity, and secrecy. Secrecy means you're not supposed to know about it. So don't think if there was going on, I'm going to know about it. You're not going to know about it. You're not supposed to know about it. That's part of the process. Secrecy is a main element of that. Access and opportunity. Secrecy, access, opportunity. 3 things you can't physically see. You can see a crowbar. You can see a screwdriver. You can see a knife. You can see those crimes. You can't see this. Access and opportunity all over the school. All over the school. Wherever there are children. DBS is their badge of honor. Got them in there. you can take your eye off them for as long as you want because that DBS says that person is safe. And that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and as we know, the DBS is not really that accurate, isn't it? Because it's only if you've actually been convicted of a crime, and a lot of these predators get away with it for years and years. So
yeah, less than 1% are convictions. Grace brought up a really good point during a meeting, and she said, if all these laws were implemented, we were talking about the Blair brothers, if they were all implemented, would things change? You can have whatever you want on that piece of paper. It comes back to one thing: education and training. It doesn't matter what the law says. If people don't know about it, how can they honor it?
yeah.
People don't know about these things. How can we make things better? So in theory, yes. And this is what we're dealing with. In theory, we're dealing with a system that's amazing. In practice, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. And it's missing vital education and training. So another example would be where young exploited teenagers were called child prostitutes. Then the wording was changed to promiscuous. Now we recognize exploitation. Well, if you've had a police officer that's been dealing with child prostitutes for 30 years, or 20 years even, and you've got new officers coming into that system dealing with child prostitutes, just because you change the terminology or you change a policy, you change a little bit of legislation, you don't change that person's way of thinking just on that change.
No.
So you've got to wait. You've got to wait for that to come out of the force as well. So these things don't just change straight away. It's all about educating people, education, communication, and it's about getting out there and finding these things out, really, isn't it? Not burying our head in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these terminologies, like like calling children who have been, obviously they've been groomed and exploited, calling them child prostitute. It's disgusting, isn't it? Like, it is actually horrifying that anybody can call a child promiscuous as well. It makes me sick to the pit of my stomach, the thought that these poor kids have, they're just being taken advantage in such a horrible way. And then it's, it almost like lessens lessening the crime then, doesn't it? When they're using such terminology that just makes it sound like it's their fault. And it's not their fault, they're the ones, children they're not mature enough to make any of these decisions, and I'm sorry, they are vile to me. I know you're saying that pedophiles don't always come across as these disgusting people. They're vile people. They, when they come across, that they go as far as court and then they'll say they're a man of good character and they get away with it because of that. Makes me sick, because they're not men or women of good character. They're just really, really good manipulators. And that's all. They're good manipulators and they get away with, and they're the worst.
Yeah.
They are the worst people, because everybody thinks they're charming and lovely, but in fact, they're after your kids.
Well, think about it, how many people have been manipulated by an adult while they've been an adult. So if you think a child cannot be manipulated, then you've obviously got to screw loose, because it's common sense. We're all capable of being manipulated. None of us are bomb-proof. So we can, just to let people know, we can see the Wake Up UK chat, we can see the YouTube chat, we can see the PCP chat. So if anyone's on the education page, that is the chat we cannot see. Sorry, guys. So Geraint has said about the Senate, they're still denying that this is going on. So I think now is a good time to bring on the article, though, because for the first time ever, our demonstration did make the news.
Yeah, it did. It made Wales online. So I'm going to share the screen now. I hope I do this right. Share screen. Okay.
It's a little bit more trickier than Zoom, Lou, but
it is. Let me see. if I share this, I'm just going to be, hang on, let me see if this works. Is that doing anything? I don't think it is, isn't it?
Wait, yeah, I can see it saying add to stream. Okay, so I can add it to the stream with us. That's good. Oh, I don't know what I've done. Oh, there we are. There we are. Let me see if I can remove you. And can you still work, Arlo? Oh, there we are. They're back in.
This.
I think we got it. We got it. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see the Wales Online article, yeah?
Yeah, and I can see us two then on the side.
Brilliant. Can everyone else see it on the if anyone can just say yes, they can see the screen.
We are. There's a 30-second lag, Lou. So we are 30 seconds in front of everyone else, but I can see it on the screen here.
Okay.
And actually, Ruth is in the house, and she's in the picture, the Wales Online article. Hello, Ruth. So here we are.
There we go, Ruth. You're actually on the proper, what's it called, the cover photo there. What shall I do? Shall I just have a little read of what it says?
Read it out, so, yeah.
Okay, so parents opposed to mandatory sex education in schools took their protest to the Senate, saying they don't trust the government or treat teachers with what will be taught. Around 60 parents joined the protest against the mandatory sex education from Cardiff Castle to the Senedd on February the 22nd. The march was organised by a group calling itself Public Child Protection Wales. Parents in Wales will no longer have the right to take their children out of lessons about relationships and sexuality or religion under the new curriculum. But the Welsh Government said the organisation responsible for the rally continues to promote inaccurate and misleading claims about Wales's new curriculum. I'm just going to stop there because we've been sold this over and over, haven't we, Kim, about like we're spreading misinformation or misleading claims, but they never ever say what we're saying is misleading. They've never actually stated what we've said, what part is incorrect.
No. So I just want to, so let me interrupt you a minute now. So like Lucia said, they've never actually said what is incorrect. So the people that haven't been following us from the beginning, now is a really good time to write this down. You go to our website, www.publicchildprotectionwales.org. You go on to the Education USA, our way page, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a lot of our government correspondence. So again, we've been told this is misinformation. What you will see the Education Minister at the time, her response to our petition. You will also see then the 17 pieces of evidence we submitted to the Petitions Committee. Then you will see the Petitions Committee discussing it. And Neil McAvoy does say, I want to know what's misinformation and what's not misinformation. And out of the 17 pieces of evidence we submitted, nobody can say what is right, what is wrong. Because if we knew what was wrong, we would remove it from what we discuss, obviously. But until we get evidence suggesting otherwise, we can't possibly do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tell us what is wrong. Because if they did actually state, right, this piece of information is completely incorrect, then yeah, we would we'd research it first, of course. And, if it is incorrect, we would remove it. But to this day, nobody has been able to actually prove us wrong on anything.
And to be fair as well, they've even mentioned that you'll also find, if you go on the resources page, there's a government published document about the curriculum as a whole. So I think it's from, I think it's page 121 onwards, that's where the RSE is. And you'll see recommendation 24 is to launch a campaign of misinformation against us. Well, we still don't know what this campaign of misinformation is. So we would really like any journalists out there to actually do a bit of work and ask the government to inform us what is misinformation, or better still, inform the public what's misinformation, because we've tried. We've done freedom of information requests. We've tried to work out exactly what it is they are saying, we are saying is wrong, but nobody seems to be telling us that. So, you know, that's a big question that journalists needs to be asking you and the public as well.
Well, if I was a journalist and I had access to, you know, like the people in the Senate that I can ask questions, that would be the first question I would ask. So what parts of this is misinformation? What are they, what, you know, exactly, you know, what is true and what is not true? But it just doesn't seem to, yeah, it just doesn't seem to be out there, doesn't it? These questions are just not being asked really, which is, wow, we kind of know why they're trying to hide what it's about until it's actually in the schools, and you know we're not going to stand for this. Shall I carry on reading that, Kim?
You've knocked it off the screen now, Lo.
Oh, sorry. I thought I couldn't hear you then.
Okay,
Right,
I just did a
okay.
little nod. I didn't want to hear my dogs touching Bing.
Oh, so I apologize. Sorry, I thought my Wi-Fi had kicked me off. Can you see the screen again?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So the move is being tested this school year before becoming statutory when the new curriculum is launched in September. Before the change, parents were able to ask schools to withdraw their children from sex or religious education lessons. Protesters said they are also angry because they do not know what materials will be used and feel teachers or outside agencies coming into schools won't have adequate training to deliver age-appropriate RSE. They are also concerned that under the new curriculum, RSE will be embedded across subjects. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say, you know, we've discussed this before, age appropriate. What is age appropriate? Is there such thing as age appropriate?
And we've actually got a freedom of information request on that. For age appropriate and developmental appropriate, you need to understand we've got mixed classes. So let's just look at ADHD or ASD. 1 in 5 children have got that. That's without different conditions. That's different stages of development there. We've asked the government for an assessment tool to determine age appropriate and developmental appropriate amongst neurodiverse and neurotypical children. So neurotypical is ordinary children. Neurodiverse is a child who's got some kind of impairment. Such tools do not exist. If you're a parent of a child in a Welsh school in South Wales, like myself, you'll know the numbers are very small. Therefore, classes are massively mixed. So there could be a 2-year gap between one child and another child in the same classroom. So again, age appropriate, developmental appropriate simply does not exist.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we know that when that's one of their arguments, isn't it? I've heard that argument over and over, actually, that we don't know what the problem is with this, what your issue is. It's going to be age appropriate. They just I've heard it so many times on, you know, on chat shows. They keep saying about this age appropriate, and yeah, it doesn't exist. So, you know, we battered that argument for it anyway. And then, you know, this thing that it's going to be embedded across subjects, you know, children, you know, there's so many things that children need to be learning, you know, before they even think about a sexual relationship. There's like, they're learning about, you know, sort of friendship groups. They're learning about like reading and writing, you know, just simple adding up, you know, all these things are so important. Yet they seem to be wanting to embed this RSE across all the subjects. Now, we have seen lesson content in Scotland of what this would look like. And, you know, it's just almost like they're just putting all their efforts into making sure that children are sexually educated or educated about all these different sexualities and all these different genders, almost like nothing else matters. And, you know, we know that there's so many more important things that children need to be dealing with, like before any kind of relationship, you know, any kind of sexual relationships are meant, is meant to be for adults. It's certainly not meant for primary
The
school
sex comes
children.
after the relationships. You learn about sex when you're in a trusting relationship and you both want to do it together. You shouldn't be in the class. And what I'm sick of is people saying, but what age is this for? What age is this for? Well, it doesn't really matter, because according to the Sexual Offences Act 2003, everyone under the age of 18, regardless of age of consent, is a minor. Therefore, everyone under the age of 18 is protected by that element of the Act. And if you look at the definition of non-contact sex abuse, grooming, you will find these documents do fit those definitions. In the wrong hands, this can be very, very serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can. Well, it will be, definitely. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on now. Our favourite lady here, former Welsh teacher and grandmother Joan Ginsberg. I hope I said her name right. From Gwynedd, who joined the protest, said she was worried that flippant videos and other RSE materials already used in England and Scotland would be used here. Now, she's got a massive point there. We have seen, well, really inappropriate and very disturbing videos that has already been used in, certainly in Scotland. There's lots of lesson content there that, we've got massive problems with. Also in England with the, is it the Brooks website? I know there's been like lots of sort of videos and inappropriate content there. They shouldn't be having it in any of our countries, So, we've got lots of evidence already showing what our lesson content can look like when it is here. Just because they're not showing us yet, it doesn't mean that we haven't got evidence to show what it could look like.
Let's not forget, they signed the same contract on the 1st of March 2017, all 4 countries. So I am not having these all border things. We've also had an email from a school, and they voted this in on the 9th of March last year. The 10th of March, an email went out in a school, and I'm sure it was Torvine. There was links in there for the curriculum. So it came up as SRE, which was England. I said to Adele, I bet you that's a copy and paste job. So they went back to the school, asked the school, is this solely for this school year in Wales? Yes, it's solely for this school year in Wales. Clicked on the link, it took us to England. Kirsty Williams keeps time and time again referencing the Scottish curriculum. Guys, they all signed a contract for a BMW. They are not going to be going down the street in a Fiesta. I am telling you now, that BMW is coming into our classrooms. You're going to be having this legislation. We are going to be having your lessons. Now is the time to put a stop to it. There's enough damage going on in the schools. This legislation literally strangles us. And you know what? That's a perfect time to bring me on to this point. They've started exercising the sexual rights now in Scotland. Okay, they've started exercising them. I've got evidence of that as well. Mandy sent it over to me. Did think I could play it for this show. Don't think there's going to be time, but that will be coming this week. We've time and time again, we tried showing the sexual rights. The government removed it from a petition. They don't want you to know about your children's sexual and reproductive rights. Scotland are now exercising those rights by bringing it in, teaching the children on the curriculum. I've got the lesson content. You will see it this week.
Yeah, but well, do you know what? And the thing is, you have to see it to believe it. In fact, on our protest, we did put taped a loads of screenshots of lesson content that's already been going on. And when people see that, it shocks them. They're like, no way can we allow this to come into schools. And it is only until people see it with their own eyes that they actually believe it, because it is so horrible, isn't it, Kim? It's so disturbing that, the everyday person is going to think, no, that can't happen. Our governments wouldn't do that. Our teachers would put a stop to it. But, the teachers have got their hands tied. If the teachers are going to refuse to teach this, what's going to happen to their job? It's going to go to someone else.
We need to come together. And Geraint has just asked, is there still no parental opt-out? No, there is no parental opt-out. But we have got things going on behind the scenes trying to deal with that. So try not to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are on the case, aren't we, Kim? Okay, I'll just quickly read through the rest of this then. So where was I? I think the mandatory aspect is particularly worrying. I feel parents and teachers have not been consulted properly and that this has been rushed. Well, yeah, they said, like, we went to like in the drafts and stuff, weren't they saying that parents had been consulted, parents and teachers? Wasn't there sort of like something there actually suggesting that this had already been done?
Yeah,
But
there was a fair consultation, even though the majority of the population are against it. The consultation was so fair, they put it through anyway.
Yeah.
And they put it through during the time of COVID, during restrictions, forcing us out during a world pandemic, forcing us out to stand there for our children's rights. It's absolutely disgusting. Forcing us out during a pandemic, shocking.
Well, do you know, everybody has got to be angry about this because during the pandemic, we were all distracted. Every one of us were distracted by this pandemic, whether it was, like for whatever reason. Now, whilst that was going on, our Welsh government have been putting this through. Like, surely people must be pretty angry about that.
Surely there was more important things to worry about. And even post-pandemic times now, look at the loss we're at. This curriculum is going to be costing between 300 and 600 million pounds. We're not talking between 50 and 60 quid. We're talking between 300 and 600 million pounds. That's a huge jump. That's not even between 300 and 400 million. That's 300 and 600 million. None of us, most of us on this planet will never ever see that kind of money.
No. And who's paying for this? It's coming, it's going to be coming from the taxpayers. So, we've got our taxes are going up now, aren't they? National insurance has risen. It's a shambles, Our money, our hard-earned money that we're paying into the tax system is going towards sexualizing our children. We, as parents and taxpayers, we should have a choice of what goes on in our schools, But nobody.
This is it. This wasn't in the government's manifesto anyway. We shouldn't even be having a discussion. We shouldn't even be here, So we have been screwed over. We've been screwed over like a kipper. Now, like you said, everybody has got a reason to be angry about this. And if people just aren't angry about the fact that they voted for something, let's say, something that's important to them, I don't know, let's say the wind farms is important to them. Well, if they voted for the wind farms and their wind farm time is being taken up by this curriculum, they should be angry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, no, that's okay. So I would answer. So what we got here, I think. So this is Jo now. They put some quotes here. She's still talking. I think sex education is absolutely necessary, and all children should have a healthy attitude to sex. But they need to have some investment on a spiritual level, and I don't think what they are doing will provide that. And I would answer any questions my children or grandchildren had about sex, but I hadn't. But I and my daughter, who has children at school, are very concerned about how they will do this. Well, we are all concerned, aren't we? Because, things like sex education, it's not something that it's not like changing. There's a lovely picture of Joan there, beautiful lady. There's only so much, it's not like changing a way of teaching. Like if somebody says, right, okay, we're going to change algebra in a different way now because we think, as teachers, this is a better way of teaching it. I'm not going to argue that because I'm not a maths teacher, so I'd let them crack on with choosing that different way. But when it comes to sex, we all know what sex is. We all know that it's inappropriate to be putting certain content out there to children. So nobody can tell me or you, Kim, that a teacher will know more about teaching sex than you or I. It makes, it's not appropriate to be giving this to the teachers, as we did have that full discussion before, the responsibility on the teachers, etc. So, so that's, another good point there. And then we got a mother and father from Blaen of Gwent said they took their two primary age boys out of school 2 years ago because they are so worried about the compulsory RSE. Lots of people are doing this, Kim, aren't they? Loads of people have taken their children out because of they are generally really worried what their children are going to be learning. And in fact, people have actually said, well, solve the problem, does everybody homeschool? But we don't think that is the solution, because not all parents can homeschool. It's impossible for some parents. They may be working out, they may not, they may not have the resources. But also we're worried about the children who, they haven't got parents, they're in care, or whatever their situation is, they haven't got parents that will be able to homeschool them. So we're concerned about all children. So even if you can homeschool yourself, which a lot of people are opted to do, that's, good for your individual children. But, we're all agreeing, even our supporters who have taken their children out, they're still supporting this campaign, because they don't want their children to grow up with a generation of, confused sex deviants, really, because that's what's going to happen when you desensitize children to sex too early. They're going to turn, they can turn either deviant or very introvert.
They mess themselves up.
Exactly. So sorry, I interrupted my own sort of thing there. As a result, we are now home educating, the boys' mother said. We don't know exactly what we're going to teach or how, and it is planting seeds in children before they are at an age fully ready to understand. And then it goes on to say, every child is different, and we feel that it should be down to the parents. It is wrong not to give any sex education, but I'm very worried what they are planning. That's why we took them out of school. There is no transparency. They say it will be age appropriate, but every child is different. Then we got Gemma Mansell, who has 2 children, aged 3 and 14, who's also worried about sex education starting so early in school. I don't want my 3-year-old to have sex education at school. I feel it is sexualization. I'm worried it will sexualize children. I'm not against sex education in schools, but I feel it should be more of an age group around 13. And then it goes on to say, I think parents should also have the option of taking them out. Children of a certain age need sex education, but not when they are 3 or 4 years old. Come on, it's not rocket science. You know what these people are saying, it's true. And then we've got Rachel Evans, our spokesperson for the group, and parent of 2 children, aged 11 and 7, said she did not believe parents were aware of the changes taking place in the RSC. And we're not happy about the mandatory element of this. We have got parents from across Wales at the protest today. We don't feel they have gone ahead with enough information about what they are going to teach. All we are able to do is look around the world and what's happening with the mandatory sex education in other countries. So we're not saying there should be no sex education at all, but it needs to be provided by trained professionals. We don't feel teachers have received proper training for this. And then it goes on to say, Kim, fellow protester, Kim Isherwood. Did she really think you were a fellow protester?
She knows exactly who I am.
I know. When she first came in, I think she thought I was you because she asked if I was Kim. So she knows that you're one of the, she knows who you are exactly, because I think she confused you and I together, because we do quite look alike, don't we, Kim, from a distance?
Yeah, well, it's the big head, it is, Lou, and the little...
The big hair and the short, and we're both short as well. So, so we've got fellow protester Kim Isherwood, who has a 17-year-old with additional educational needs, and a 13-year-old is worried about how RSE will be delivered to ALN pupils, especially those in mainstream schools and classes. I'm a champion of sex education and safeguarding, but I'm against mandatory sex education, and I am also worried about the readiness and weight of responsibility on teachers to do this. I would also like to see the content of what they are teaching fully published. Okay, so what we got here, relationship and education will be mandatory from 3 to 16 for Wales and will be taught in both primary and secondary schools. This replaces the current requirement for sex education in secondary schools. Under RSE, learners will learn about sex in a biological sense, and also the concept of sexuality and what constitutes as a healthy and an unhealthy relationship. Now, I'm going to stop myself there because it's saying about sex in a biological sense. Well, this isn't true either, isn't it, Kim? Because biology has already been in the curriculum for years. So bringing in this RSC,
and biology is science, isn't it? So why would we need an extra subject to cover something that we should be covering in science? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And it's also saying it is guided by the statutory code.
Can we just skip that bit now? Because I'm so sick of reading their words and they got no evidence to back it up. I don't want to waste their time on them, to be honest with you, love.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I completely agree.
Let's have a look at the Welsh Government's response.
Yeah, Welsh Government response. This is interesting. The Welsh spokesperson said, the organisation responsible for the rally continues to promote incorrect and misleading claims about Wales' new curriculum. They said that above as well, didn't they? We believe that all young people should have the right to access information that keeps them safe from harm, but that it is done in a developmentally appropriate stages. There we have it again, Kim, the developmentally appropriate again. We are committing to providing inclusive relationships and sexuality education, which will increase understanding of safe, equitable, and positive relationships.
Right.
The RSE, what's that?
Go on, carry on.
I'll just say the RSE guidance and code has been welcomed by a large number of respective organisations such as the NSPCC, and Welsh Women's Aid, as well as the Children's Commissioner. Well.
Let me just rip that apart quickly now. So again, we keep providing incorrect and misleading claims, right? So they can't prove what that is. We believe young people should have the right to access information that keeps them safe. We believe that the people of Wales have the right to access information that keeps them safe from the government. We know age and developmental appropriate does not exist, and we also know NSPCC commissioned the sex education materials in Scotland, which I personally emailed to question them on. I wanted to know, when they were showing mature porn as an old person bent over a Zimmer frame, they said amateur porn before it. So I wanted to know what amateur porn was if mature porn is over a Zimmer frame. And they can't even ask me to answer that question. So they have since, I think in the last 4 months, now I'm talking 18 months ago, I've got that email. It's on the education group. Go into the media, you'll see the screenshot of that email there. In the last 4 months, they have since removed it. So if NSPCC is fully in support of these resources, why have they started removing them? Guys, their argument doesn't stand. The argument does not stand, and we are not standing for it either. They have tried fobbing us off all the way along, and it has not worked. We're not in this for the benefit of our health. We're in it for the benefit of our children's health, which is completely different. So Welsh Government, we are never going to go away. Never. No. And that brings us up to the current times.
I know, exactly. And I just think, the absolute cheek of them saying about being developmentally appropriate, about them saying, this is about, because they said as well as about sexual health. It's not about sexual health at all. If it was about sexual health, they'd actually be teaching them about sexual health, not teaching them how to get pleasure out of themselves and how to use sex toys and, use a cucumber, it's cheaper. That's not about sexual health. That's just polluting young people's minds. So, we're not falling for any of it, and we're certainly not falling for the fact that the NSPCC has said that it's great, because, we've seen over and over again, it's not just with the Scottish curriculum. They've endorsed a lot of things that are inappropriate. Yeah, so we're not falling for any of that. We're not falling for it.
And that's it, guys. Like these Sunday shows we do, they just really like a little chat and that. But when you go back through our old footage, and obviously new footage is coming up again, we discuss things with professors. We actually look at the facts. We look at things for real. We go into the different elements of what they're trying to sell us. We absolutely destroy it. We show you what we should be having. We're not saying stop sex education. We want a proper education. Let's drop the word sex and let's look at education, because this isn't about sex. It's not supposed to be about sex, but they've made it about sex through their content. What it's supposed to be about is biology, health, and safeguarding. Those are the three things. They don't come under one umbrella. Relationships, you build positive, healthy relationships anyway when you've got children in the right environment. So what the hell is that about? Inclusive. Let's go back to what the government said. This is inclusive. So why, as stated in the Wales Online article, as the ALN parent, the one who is speaking up on behalf of disability rights, why is she not having a say? Why are the religious people who are also part of the Equality Act, why are they not having a say? You know, so it is not inclusive when there are people being shut out. It's anything but inclusive, Welsh Government. You're telling poke pies again.
Absolutely. They're actually shutting out a huge communities. You know, when it comes, there are still a lot of people who were, you know, religious. And as you said, like ALN children as well, that's growing by, you know, it's growing every year. You know, there's so many children who have got ADHD and autism. Sometimes it goes diagnosed as well until they're older. So you can't even pinpoint a child that's got ADHD at 8 and say, oh, maybe they shouldn't have these. You can't even do that because you may not even know until they're 14, 15. So, you know, there's just no sense in what they're saying whatsoever.
And Ruth is talking about no mention of re-victimization. Well, that's it, Ruth. This is what I mean. Our other shows are going to be topical. The Sunday show we do is like pretty much like a chat show. But there are more, we'll be looking at topics and things like that, especially the re-victimization. The sexual aspect of this is so close to my heart. It threw me like a Treacle Bay rock, you know. So don't worry about that. If you think we're not touching on important things now, it's because there's so much to talk about. You can't possibly do it in a single hit anyway. So our Sunday show, guys, just a little bit of a catch up, a recap from the week before and what's going on the week ahead. But throughout the week now going forward, I know I've gone into it with Glasgow Carby this week. Myself and Rachel are doing that. Obviously, I'm going to do a show as well about the skate-a-thon because it's obviously my place to promote that, guys, and keep you updated. Lucia then, Lucia's going to go hell for leather on the fundraising. But there's something that we're going to be starting that we want you all involved with now, guys, right? We need to do coffee hour. So whether that's coffee morning, as you know, we do have coffee morning on Zoom once a week. Sometimes that's very successful. Sometimes there's nobody there. But we need coffee hour, okay? So, and this just needs to be people getting together for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee once a week, every single week religiously. Whether that's in the morning or whether that's in the afternoon, it's entirely up to you. So for argument's sake, this is how we're starting. There's 2 people in Blaenau for Stiniog. We don't know the day or time for that yet. As soon as we know, we will tell you. There's 1 person in Gwynedd, North Wales, who will be driving to meet somebody from Flintshire, North Wales. Okay, they are going to be starting theirs. Myself and Grace are starting it for Neath for Talbot. Guys, we're going to be starting it in the cafe in our Bravan Shopping Centre. We will be giving you the day and time for that as well. Lucia will be starting one in Porthcawl. I'll obviously go down to help her. We're hoping to get that. That's going to be a coffee hour in the evening, Lucia, I'm assuming. Yeah, but between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So the time and date will come for that as well. Adele is going to be doing a coffee hour with Kath and everyone down in Cwmbran. Who else have we got, Lou? And I'm hoping to get a coffee hour going in Kyra. You have to be consistent with these. You have to stick to it. Everyone keeps complaining. Nobody knows about this. Nobody's got support. You start off with 2 people. You have your coffee or your tea once a week, every single week, right? Even if you're just there for half hour, go to someone's house or go to a cafe. We're going to go to a cafe. Why is this important? Why is it important to do it every week? Because there's people out there plucking up the courage to come and speak to us, right? They might not have that courage on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th week. Their courage might come on the 5th week. We have to be out there for people, guys. We have to start our groups. 2 people in a group isn't too small. No. It's not too small at all. It's a group. It's still a group. It's better than no group, right? So if there's
Yeah.
only 2 people in your area that actually know about this and care about this, start your coffee hour. Start your coffee hour. Let's start a hashtag, right? To start a hashtag coffee hour, and we'll incorporate something for RSE. Let's do it, guys. We can all do it, right? Anything in RCT area, guys. Well, that's Rachel's area. So do you know what? Maybe that request now is enough to get, well, Rachel's got to pull something off, but then if it's RCT area, this is it, guys. Just do it. Just do it. Just get 2 people together, or 1 person you know. Even if you've got to drive 20 minutes once or twice, because you might be driving 20 minutes to meet some people. But then on the 3rd meeting, you might find that there's 2 people there from your area. Well, actually, we don't have to come with you 6 anymore now, because us 3 can go over here. This is not about big, massive of groups coming together at one time. This is about everybody coming together once a week, every single week, to discuss the RSE. No matter what that is, whether you're discussing what we're discussing, whether you're discussing lesson contents, your concerns, there's somebody new that you want to, thing. It's important now that we physically come together. And if we give ourselves that little challenge, that priceless challenge of a cup of coffee a week, we have to do this. Right? And it could get massive. So that's what we need from you guys now moving forward. Obviously, guys, we have as you know, we're on the route now for a legal battle. We have got 17 days to submit our paperwork to court. Just 17 days. We need someone in the region of £100,000 to make this happen. We got 17 days to submit our paperwork to court. So while we are working on that, guys, while we are working on all the technicalities behind the scenes, get your coffee hour. I don't want to call it coffee morning, because you might work in the day. Coffee hour once a week. It has to be every single week. Make that commitment. 1 hour a week. And if you don't know what to talk about, phone us. We'll do the talking for you. It doesn't have to be, you have to do presentations, anything like that. You don't have to know about RSE. You come together because you don't know about RSE. You come together because you haven't really got the confidence to fight the RSE on your own. But guys, we've got to meet up. We've got to get together, because there's people out there plucking up the courage to come with us. And unless we're out there, they've got nowhere to go. So this is our mission now, guys. Everyone out there, everyone that follows us, I want to see you all. Every single person, I want to see you all saying, I'm having my coffee hour, such and such a day. Me and so and so. Me, so and so and so and so. It can be done, guys, right? And we can do it. Like I said, if we have to travel once or twice, so be it. It's important now, Wales. The rest of the UK is relying on us. They're counting on us. This is why we've had this legislation, because the government knew that if we managed to get organised, we could kick the crap out of this. So let's get organised. Let's become the fear. Let's become the thing they fear. And we can do that by starting with coffee hour.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's an opportunity, to chat to each other, bounce ideas off each other. And, if there is, I know there's a lot, in the protest, we have people coming up to us saying, I don't really know what to say to people. I know it's wrong, but I don't know. But this is your opportunity to just, really, learn about what we've got to be concerned about, because then you're going to be more confident then to tell your sister or tell your auntie or tell your friend. And when they come back with something, well, you're going to have the answers, because you're more, you're just more educated in what this is all about.
And the more you're around people that know about it, the more fluent you become then, you learn things. So there's stuff that I'm still learning stuff every day now. We're all learning stuff every day. But we learn a lot more while we're out doing our individual research, our individual tasks, because we don't sit together around the table and work together. We work individually. The only time we're together is on Zoom. Then we can't get together, So, and this is what it's about, guys, individual tasks. But by speaking to each other about what we've learned, we're learning a lot more. So essentially, if there's 5 of us working, we are learning 5 things at that time, even though we're only doing one task. Do you know what I mean? Because by the end of the week, we've learned what the other 4 have discovered that week. And it does come, guys. It's all about talking to each other. It's about connecting. We have got to build these. We've got to build these groups now. We've got to build these little cells, these little we have to be committed. It just takes one person to say, I'm going to start this. And they so I've said, I'm going to start this for Kyra. I'm going to start this for Neath Talbot. I've said, Grace, I need you to do this with me for Neath Talbot. I've said to Lucia, I'm going to do this with you for Puthcall. This needs to be done in Puthcall. And it might just be the fact that I've got to go to 3 different places for 6 weeks before I can finally settle in one place. And when I settle in one place, it might even be different to the ones we've already started. But we've got to start it, guys. And all it takes is for you to say, I'm going to do coffee hour. Who's coming with me? Where should we go? What should we do? Should we do it in the house? Should we do it in the park? Should we take a flask? Sit in the bus stop? It's just about you two getting together and keep getting together, because eventually more will come.
Yeah, definitely.
And everyone can do that. Everyone's responsible enough to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, get on board, everyone. It's an hour a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
An hour a week is nothing. And for anyone as well that hasn't already joined the Skateathon, which is going to be going on the 26th and the 27th of March, get in touch. We want more skaters.
Yeah, it's gotten really big, guys. The aim of the game was we're supposed to be doing a massive fundraiser, group fundraiser as an organization, and individual fundraisers. And I'm not as fit as Lucia. She's like a machine. I'm nothing like that. The only thing I can run is a bath. So I thought, something really pathetic. Now I can learn to skate. And it's really taken off. I can't believe how many people want to come. They're not even going to skate. They're just going to come to have a picnic or whatever. Yeah. So it's really taken off. So come along, guys. Aberafan. I did say you could skate in your own town. That still stands if you want to. But people really want to come along to Aberafan. So it's going to be opposite the Aberafan Hotel on that big green, right next to the toilets, literally opposite the Aberafan Hotel, okay? Later on in the night, I will be going to Bargran Industrial Park, where you can pitch up a tent as well, be out of the way. Still a nice flat surface where we can skate. But yeah, it should be really good, guys. In fact, the Powells went down there yesterday. Eager Beavers, they're a month early. So I assume the Powells will be there.
I hope so. I hope they do come. I hope they had a good day and they didn't waste their day, sort of going down
guys.
there.
And this is something else I wanted to say as well. I think a lot of people think that we are a group of friends that started this campaign. It didn't start like that. We started as strangers. So do not feel that you're infringing on an established friendship from 30 years ago. You're not. Okay? These friendships have developed as a result of this common issue, which is RSE. You're not an outsider. You're not an outsider any more than I'm an outsider or Lucia's an outsider, right? We were all strangers. We all came into this at some point, and every single one of us came into it on our own. We didn't come in. This is not the Ark. I am not Noah, and we don't come in 2 by 2, but we'll do the coffee hour 2 by 2.
Yeah, definitely. We're not cliquey.
No,
we're not cliquey at all. No, we're just, we're all individuals. We're all fighting the same cause. And if you feel as strongly as us,
if you think, you really want to come or you want to chat or there's anything, just come on, let's do it. Or if you want to do a coffee hour in your area, you think, do you know what? That coffee on the end of my road, I want a coffee hour there. Give us a ring and say, look, I've got nobody to have coffee hour with. I only live 10 miles from you. Do you fancy doing it with me? I'll say, do you know what? Yeah, of course. You don't care if you don't ask. Let's do it, guys. At the end of the day, if this is, if us coming out of our comfort zone helps and protects our children, then isn't this a good way of doing it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't this a way of doing it?
Yeah,
right, so I'm done now, Lou. I know we didn't really, there was some other stuff I want to try and squeeze in. That's not going to happen tonight. But like I said, I'm going to come back on at least twice this week. Oh, I've got a Zoom as well, guys. So if the public need to speak to me at any point, please don't message me. Please don't message me. I cannot keep with these messages. But you can message me in the night. Message me from 8 until 8:30. Or did I say 8 until 8:30? No, yeah. Look, between 7 and 9, message me. But I will be on Zoom at those times as well, so I'll be available. So please don't just, I know you want me to join in your arguments on Facebook. If I'm in those arguments, if I'm in those debates, I'm not doing the other stuff. So if I keep myself available just these slots in the night, the Zoom link will be out there. You can jump on, message me, I'll send you the Zoom link. That's going to be easier for me, guys. We've got to be efficient without time now, because we're also in a position where time is actually going to be costing us a hell of a lot of money. So we need to start being mindful about that now.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, those Zooms is, as you said, they're open to the public, and it's so much easier as well, rather than you talking to lots of people on the phone. You know, if anyone wants to come on, you can all have a discussion, and yeah, it's definitely then you can use your time more wisely as well then.
And that's it, guys. Like I said, we got 17 days to file our paperwork to court. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to go on. We want to keep you guys as informed as we can. There's some things we can say, some things we can't say. And it was time consuming as well, you know, like from the demo on Tuesday, I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, I hadn't even gotten myself to the bathroom. I'd been on the phone for like 4 hours, emails, phone calls. It was just absolutely insane. I wasn't having a bath until the night. I was having phone calls while I was in the bath. It was just crazy, but that was important stuff. So it's really important stuff. And I know people are complaining, so I'm not reading their messages, or I'm seeing their messages, not replying to them. Guys, we've all got to use our time efficiently now, every single one of us. If we want this to work, we've all got to think efficiently. And that's my way of thinking efficiently, is making myself available every single evening.
Brilliant.
Face-to-face digitally, and via coffee hour. So let's get coffee hour out there then. I'll have my dates up to you by the end of tomorrow on Facebook, guys. So you can all just add your dates to it then, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, brilliant. And as Kim says, if anyone wants to call her, you can call me as well if you want someone in your area to come down. You don't feel confident enough to talk about it to other people. I'll be available as well. So look forward to hearing from some of you.
Yeah, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. This can only be as good and as successful as we make it. The ball really is in our court. And thanks everyone for watching, because we've had quite a few watching tonight. I know I haven't been able to keep an eye on the 4 chats, but we've had lots. Well, we've always got plenty to say anyway. So I'm going to shoot off now before this goes on and on and on and on and on. And we'll see you through the week, guys. Lucia will be bringing some interviews. Me and Rachel are going to be interviewing the Glasgow Carby. I'll be showing you the stuff that Mandy sent me earlier on. It will be a big week. You'll see us at least 3 times live.
Yeah, you will. You will. Look forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much, everyone. And ciao for now.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.